Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest today is a middleweight athlete with over 30 professional bouts to his name and head coach of Straight Blast Gym Manchester, Mr. Matt Inman. Welcome, Matt. Nice to have you on the podcast, my brother.
It's safe. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
One of the things I ask everyone that comes on is to know a little bit about your martial arts journey, Matt. Could you share it with myself and the viewers just the journey that you've been on from a young age, which has brought you to where you are today, please?
Yeah, of course, man. Well, I think I was thinking about this and doing this podcast with you, and I might be way off here, but I think you might be one of, and you won't remember at all, but you might be one of the first people I ever trained with.
No.
I think so. I think because there was a guy called Karl, and I'm sure it was you a few years later, and it'd been because I'm from West Yorkshire originally. So one of the first gyms I walked into was Neil Hall had a place called Fighting Chance, which was up a few stories in the top floor in Batley, I think it was. It was just off Bradford Road, and I'm pretty sure we trained together. But
yes,
I'm thinking it must have been 2000 and it was before I went away to uni, so 2004 possibly. Something like that.
Yes, it was, because I did train with Neil Hall, and it was Fighting Chance before he changed the name, and it's on Bradford Road. You turned right and slightly up the hill. Wow, man, that's madness.
So yeah, you might. That was pretty much that. Like those few months, that was the end of 2004 was like the inception of my martial arts journey, really, because I think I was 17, just turned 18 or just 17 or something like that. And I'd been wanting to get into martial arts for ages, but I'd been working a night job after school. And it was only when I finished school that I got a day job instead. So I could do the night classes and train. And I was kind of like, I was trying a few different places out, but then, that was my like first experience of MMA, what those guys were doing up there and stuff. So yeah, that's how it all started. It all started with you.
Nothing new there, brother. Nothing new.
Does that make you feel like you've been around for a while?
I have been around for a while, brother. Yeah, half a century, my friend. So you started there with Neil Hall, Fighting Chance, and can you kind of talk us through the timeline from there, how you've ended up where you are now with the SBG?
Yes. So I mean, I'd have only trained at Neil Hall's for probably a few weeks. I think. If you ask him, he'll vaguely remember me being there, but I was a 17-year-old. I didn't have a clue about anything. And I went away then. I went to university and I studied in Newcastle. And that was kind of like when I went away, I had a lot of time to train and stuff like that. And I started training at one gym, and I was really into Thai boxing then. So I started training with a coach called Barry Norman, who had a gym called Saw Tanical, which was based up in Newcastle in Biker. Still there now. Barry's still there, still doing what he does and a really good job of it. And so I started training there, and then through that there was a few guys who were training MMA as well there. Who were like, it was back at that time, when everyone sort of cross trained. So you'd be in a Thai boxing gym, but then after Thai boxing class, they'd put mats down and they'd do some, put the MMA gloves on and have a roll around as well. And that was when I met two guys, Peter Irvin and Pete Tiax. Like a lot of guys probably at this stage will know Peter Irvin because he's still quite involved in the game. But Pete Tiax at that time he was a cage rage champion. And again, this is what, 2004 this would have been. So he was cage rage featherweight champion 2004. He was a good Thai boxer as well. And those guys were a little bit older than me at that stage. They were probably like, I was, just 18. They were like mid-20s. So they kind of took me under the wing and helped me. And there was a really good Thai boxer as well called Craig Joes, who was like a mentor early on, and I learned a lot from those guys. And I was in Newcastle, I think, for 4 or 5 years, and I'd have been competing in Thai boxing pretty regularly, and also semi-professional MMA and that kind of thing. That took me. It was 4 years there, and then the girl I was with at the time moved down to Manchester to continue her studies, and I wasn't really doing anything. So I just I moved down to Manchester as well. Pete had told me about Karl's place, SBG, because he'd been down there and done some training, but I'd never met Karl up until that stage. And then, I moved down to Manchester in 2008, summer 2008. Walked down the stairs on my second day there of the old SBG, which was we call that the Spear Street Gym. We're in the Sheffield Street Gym now. Met Karl, and then that was it. Like, kicked it off. Decided, but I'd had a few semi-professional fights. You remember that, right? By that stage, semi-professional fights, pro gloves, headshots standing up, but no striking on the ground, which was perfect for me because my grappling wasn't very good, and I was half decent at Thai boxing. So I'd had a few of those fights and a fair bit of Thai boxing experience. And 2008 made my professional MMA debut on Strike and Submit back in the Northeast, and then just kept going from there. And that's 13 years as a pro now.
Wow. Strike and Submit, I remember that was Michael Surtees who was running that.
Michael Surtees, yeah. I think I had a belt as a semi-professional on that show, and then I think I had probably maybe 4 of my pro fights were on Strike and Submit. I think I won a title, like a European title or something on Strike and Submit at one point. So I had a good few fights up there. That venue where we did that, I don't know if you remember, the Fed Brewery as well. They used to put a lot of Thai boxing shows on there. So I've probably fought more in that venue than any other venue. I think I've literally had at least 10 fights, I think, in the Federation Brewery in Gateshead, I think it is.
Yeah, I know it really well because I used to go there and do a bit of photography for Michael, and it was the Lancastrian Suite.
Lancastrian Suite, yeah.
That's the one, yeah.
I feel that there's been a few MMA shows on there, and there's boxing shows, Thai boxing shows. So it was like, and because it was a brewery as well, the beer was dead strong, wasn't it? So all the Geordies used to drink it and just go fucking bananas at the fights. It was always a good atmosphere.
It was, and it was always busy there, wasn't it? And I think he used to have a show on
Sunday nights as well. Sunday nights, yeah. It was always a Sunday, yeah.
And it was
just
always
pack it out.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story about that. So I used to go there, do some photography, and then I thought, there's a niche in the market here. They don't have a burger van outside. So what I did was I bought a really crappy burger van, right? Got all my certificates and everything sorted out through Gateshead. And then I thought, beautiful. Turned up there, and on the first one, we smashed it. Now, I was inside, right, just pretending that I had naught to do with the burger van. And then Michael Surtees is saying to me, Safe, whose is that burger van? I said, I don't know. We'll have to have a word with lads. Anyway, we absolutely smashed him. And he saw how busy it was. So next time we thought, right, we're going to do it again. And we turned up. And Michael had done a bit of a deal with the local burger van, and they had a massive burger van all done up. They had ladies all dolled up, and there's my mate who's a scruffy git trying to sell burgers there. And we lost so much money the second time, but yeah, man, I had to blag that burger van first time round. I love going there. Because at the time before that, Pete McQueen used to have Total Combat, so it's quite nostalgic when you're talking about semi-professionals, because I used to compete where he had it. What was it called again?
Spennymoor.
Yeah, and there was Ross Pearson who's fought on there, Colin Fletcher.
Yeah. Well, that's when, Davey, Kurt, Alex Enland, they'll have all started out on Total Combat. I never fought on Total Combat as a semi-pro, but I did fight a couple of times there as a pro later on. But yeah, they're like all those, everyone from the Northeast, that group of guys, and probably like a lot of guys from the Northwest all got the start on Total Combat, didn't they? Like you say, Pearson, Kurt Warburton, Davey Grant, they all started out there.
Yeah, and at the time, that was the place to compete. It was massive. It looked amazing. The only thing is, the audience, they had no idea, because we used to come out from behind the stage, and where the changing room was, honestly, it was no bigger than a phone box. The changing rooms were tight, but nobody cared, did it? Because it was just quite an amazing thing at that time to compete.
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your martial arts journey with us. What I will say, Matt, is just before you had your last fight, you took 3 years out. Can you explain what was the motivation to come back and think, right, I want to compete again?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it was any one factor. It was just like this year, obviously, or last year now, 2020 was pretty weird for everyone. So it started off really well. Like we had Cage Warriors brought the first show to Manchester in March. And obviously we had Cartwright already had the title. He defended his title in the main event. I was in the corner with Adam Proctor, where he won, and then George Smith took a win as well. Steve Hooper won. So we had like, I think we went 5 for 5 or something that night in Manchester. You know, the first time Cage Warriors had come to Manchester, obviously for a Manchester gym. So that was massive for us. That was a really good night as a coach. And then it was literally like 2 weeks later or whatever it was that COVID, like I remember people were talking about it then, but no one was like taking it serious. And then I think it was literally two weeks later, bang, everything was gone. Like I was just like, shit, I've got to close the gym. I got to stop the fight team. We were meant to fly out to the US the week after. I think Davey had a fight booked in Columbus, Ohio. That's gone because no one can travel. Travel's being banned and stuff like that. So like, yeah, everyone's just sat around not working or anything. So I had to go out and get a job. Got a job, did a few months, kind of just the working thing again, which was unusual because I've not worked a proper job since I was probably 20. So that was interesting. And then, as things went on, things up and back up. We did the Cage Warriors trilogy, where again Cartwright defended his title and Proctor and George fought as well. So I was kind of back around MMA, and I'd been training. I've been doing most of the training with George Smith up till his fight. So I wasn't fight fit, but I was getting in better shape. Particularly like grappling, I was sound. Stand up, I'd not done very much of, and then back in a stage where I was training, but there was not much else going on. And my problem really for the last 3 years has kind of been time. I've not had time. You know, we've been so busy with the gym, not just with the fight team, but with the gym and the general classes and stuff like that as well, to put like a proper fight camp in where, you know, I'd never want to go into a fight unprepared. And then it looked like I could do it. So I spoke to my wife. She told me not to do it. I spoke to her. Most of the people close to me told me not to do it as well. And then I thought, nah, fuck it, we'll give it a shot.
You jumped straight into the deep end. Your last fight was against Mathew Bonner, which took place last month on Cage Warriors 118. Can you tell us a little bit about the preparation for Mathew and talk us through the fight itself?
Yeah, sort of prep. I split my time between SBG Manchester, training with my guys, and SBG South Shields, which is Alex Enlund's gym. So had like a little bubble in Manchester of guys to train with, George and a few other guys. And I was up in South Shields every week, working out with under coach Alex Enlund, with guys like Adam Proctor and Michael Takuma. I'm not very good at pronouncing his last name. So they were like good bodies to train with. Considering everything, like I had a pretty good camp. It was just a case of like, I wouldn't say it wasn't like I was coming off the couch, because probably the last 3 years I'd technically improved loads. And my grappling is a different level to what it was in 2017 when I fought last time. But I'd not done much kind of live sparring, stand up and stuff like that. So we had like an 8-week camp really to try and get as much of that stuff in as possible and get the sharpness up. And I think we did a pretty good job. Again, we didn't start from a great place. I think it took me, he's maybe only 6 weeks into the camp that I really felt like my timing was coming back a little bit, which is unusual, because whenever I've been fighting before, I'd been like back to back camps. I was just used to being sharp. So that feeling of like the timing and stuff not being quite there was was unusual. But I think come fight time, felt good, felt confident, felt good in my new weight class. Yeah, so it was pretty good training wise. And then went into the fight. Actually turned out that I did come in a little bit light. I think if I do 185 again, the thing I'm doing at the minute, so I'm putting on a bit of size because I was probably a little light. I think I woke up on weighing day at like 181 or something like that, and I was drinking water to put me up to the limit on the scales. So it wasn't like, it was definitely not a difficult cut or anything. I think you see that a little bit in the fight as well if you watch it. I think considering the opponent as well had done a fair bit at welterweight, but I think he'd had maybe 4 or 5 fights at middleweight there. I think he looked considerably bigger than me on film. I don't know if that's just like the way I'm seeing it, but a few people have said that to me as well. So it's possible. And then, yeah, the fight, I thought the fight was okay. I didn't do a lot of what I wanted to do. I think we had like a grapple heavy game plan based, and it ended up being a 15-minute kickboxing match. So I pretty much managed to completely ignore the game plan, which is not just me. Like, I think the opponent did a good job. One of the things I noticed his team were telling me straight away as soon as like I clinched or got near to hold him, it was just push me away. He was aggressive, he was strong, he played well. It kind of like one of the things Alex noticed is said like he's just coming back over the top of everything. Whatever you throw, he's just being programmed to boom, throw over the top. And yeah, like the decision, I think I was like 30-27 to him on 2 cards and 29-28 on one card. I had in the fight at the time, I felt like I'd lost the first, the second was close, probably went to him, and I'd won the third. And watching it back, that's kind of how it played out. I'm not upset about the loss. I think like it's the closest fight. I think he was on the front foot more, so like I'm not surprised the judges saw it that way. And yeah, so that was it. Like a decision loss. Like it was like a tough test. Came back in. I think he was a decent opponent for the first one back after 3 years. There was a lot of talk about like I was out for 3 years. I was coming back. He was going to retire me and this and that. And I think like, by the end of the fight, I was the one who was pushing the pace. So it definitely didn't look like the guy who was about to get retired in my mind. I just finding my feet. I think like if I do fight again, the lessons I've learned from that one will definitely set me well to go into another fight.
Well, I have seen the fight, Matt, and Mathew does look bigger than you in the fight.
Yeah, it's not just me, man. Because a few people have said that.
You mentioned that if you fight again, is that something that might be in the pipeline, or are you still on the fence?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. You know what? I enjoyed it, and I think like at this stage, I don't feel like the goal for me, like in my previous career, was always like, all right, UFC. We need to get the UFC. Like, I needed like. I was in Cage Warriors most of the time. I fought my way to the title. Like, maybe if I'd have won the title, maybe I'd have got the shot. Like after Craig White beat me, his next fight was against Neil Magny at the Liverpool Echo Arena. So, if things went differently and I won that one, maybe, I was close a few times, but I don't feel like I'm there now. I'm probably not going to end up in the UFC. So it's more just a case of doing it to challenge myself. I think I can, I'm still young enough and I still can do it. So I feel a bit like, why not? Like I'm healthy. Any damage I did receive in that last fight was like, there was a lot of people saying your face was a mess afterwards, but it was just, it's superficial. I've always had bad skin. I've always cut up easily and stuff like that. I'm absolutely fine now. I'm not carrying a lot of injuries or anything like that. So, why not? Like, I enjoy doing it. So if I can get to a circumstance where the time's right again, and I feel like, I'd never want to undersell it. Like, this is a serious thing, man. Like, you're two people in there and you're throwing elbows at each other and you're trying to do serious damage. So it's not like the kind of thing you can just take lightly, just like jump in. Oh yeah, well, like one weekend, just go in and give it a shot. I think that's a good way to, really get hurt. So I have to be in that mindset where I'm serious about it and I'm serious about the preparation. And if I can get to that place again, I don't see why not.
Last week, I did a podcast with Davey Grant, who's also part of Straight Blast Gym, and we talked a little bit about Karl, and you mentioned him today. And I was thinking about yourself, because you're from Straight Blast Gym as well. There's a lot of drama going on. People are struggling, with COVID and lockdown and the pressure, and there's a lot of issues with mental health, and people are struggling. And I think it's important to raise awareness of mental health. And the reason I bring that up, it was 3 years yesterday. The great guy, Karl Tanswell, God rest his soul, he passed away. You have a lot of memories with Karl, over a decade. If you can kind of share how, you've told us about how your paths crossed, but just share us some philosophies or anything that you can share with us about this great guy.
Obviously, with it being 3 years since Karl's passing, it's time. It's kind of a weird time because it's a lot of bad memories, especially for us and the people who were close to him. It's like, but at the same time, I think, as time passes and after a loss, you want to, as much as possible, remember the good times and, all the, try as much to remember the, everything he taught me, not in the sense of like techniques, he showed me this armbar or this, and because whilst he was a great teacher of that kind of thing, I think like the real thing you could take from everyone really who spent time with Karl is just he was just a great a positive influencer of people, and it was literally a guy who would go miles out of his way to help people. And I think that's something like a lot of people don't realize about him. Literally, I can think of hundreds of anecdotes of just him doing stuff for people where and it's kind of things and it almost makes me feel like a little bit kind of selfish sometimes, because I just don't have that in me to think the same way that he thought about helping other people. I was thinking just memories I was having yesterday and stuff was coming up. So my brother was going through a bad time with some stuff, some personal stuff and this and that, and he's having some problems anyway. And he didn't really he knew my brother to say hello to him, but they weren't close or anything like that. And then and sometime later anyway, he'd never told me about it, but he'd reached out to him and offered him some help with something or other. And I was just it just blew my mind, because I was if I'd have been speaking to someone and they were telling me their brother, who I loosely knew, had some issues that, and then he fought to go and help. And that's just, I'm rambling a bit there, but that's just the kind of guy he was, just really, I think he struggled with his own stuff so much, but he was willing to, put whatever he was battling with, his demons, to one side and really help other people. And I think that's why he took so well to coaching, really, because the one thing I always say about this and what I want to do is everyone sees the MMA team and they see the fighters and they see the guys on the big shows and stuff like that, but that's just a small part of what we do at SBG Manchester. I know Alex feels the same about his guys up there, and a lot of the other guys' affiliates, and to be honest, most coaches I know and respect in the UK are the same. We don't just train a fight team; we have a gym as well that's running, and it's everyone trains, and it's just creating. One thing Karl does, he created an environment where training was safe and it was available for everyone. You can be a a young athletic male, you could be a small female, you could be an older person. We've got members in the 50s, 60s, and they could all come on the mat. They could learn together, and they could train, and they could be in that environment. Which is not just a physical thing, but it's like you say, it's a mental thing for a lot of people. And I think like this all comes full circle at the minute because with whatever's going on and gyms being closed and that kind of thing, a lot of people are missing out on that. And I know it's like, it'd be wrong for me to sit here and say like I'm some sort of mental health expert or like I know what people need or something like that. But I think there is a lot of benefit to training, to martial arts, to that kind of thing to people. And so it all just kind of, it links full circle really, because that that environment that Karl created in taking over at SBG Manchester, that's always been my goal, to keep going with that and keep going that kind of line. And it's just it's a shame at the minute the way things are, but there's like, the thing you've got to remember is it's going to pass. Like eventually, like however hard people are taking this and stuff, just hang on in there, hold on. Whether it's another 6 months, another year, you can do it. Just hang on in there, and then we'll be back. We can do, I'm sure what we all want to do at some point.
It's interesting you mentioned there that things will pass. There's a lad called Luke Ambler from Andy's Man Club, who I know quite well. And I was sat with him, talking to him, and he told me, he says, the analogy he gave was, it's like a storm. So there's those that are going through the storm. Some people have already gone through it, so they've dealt with it, and it's behind them. And for some, they don't realize there's a storm coming. But with everything, you're just moving, and you'll just pass through. But you just got to keep strong through it all. Yourself and Alex Unlund, David Grant, and other SBG coaches are keeping Karl's memory and legacy alive. I need to tell you a story, brother. So years ago, when I used to go to these shows like Strike and Submit and others, and Karl used to be the coach for the fighters. He might even had you on there. I don't know if it was you or one at fights, but he's there.
Yeah.
And his voice is so loud, right? It just bellows. And I was speaking to David Grant about this the other day, and I said, Karl was so gifted. He naturally had this voice that was so loud, and you could hear him in the car park. And David Grant said to me that wasn't the case. He actually went for like voice lessons and acting lessons to be able to train his voice. How mad is that?
Well, don't get me wrong. Like, to start with, he was a loud person, so like he would always have been loud anyway. But he did do a lot of work on how to project his voice. Because I know one of the things, like, this is the thing I like. To be honest, I need to do the work as well, because if I coach a fighter and it goes 3 rounds and I'm a shout, well, COVID time's not that bad actually, because I can just talk normally now and everyone can hear me. But when there's a crowd and everything and you're screaming, and like my voice goes after 2, so I have to make sure I have someone with me who I know can carry what I'm saying. So because I'm saying and they're repeating what I'm saying, it's going. So yeah, but he's like, that's just another good example of the way he was. He was just like, he was a guy who took his craft really seriously. So like, I think he was an innovator. A lot of kind of the methods that guys are using now, you can probably trace back to what Karl was doing long ago. Like, particularly like pretty much everything we do was developed. Myself, Alex, like you said, David, the other SBG coaches, we've just taken what he did and what he worked with us, and we've just been fortunate we can keep working through that. Everything, like, I don't think I'd ever thought of doing fight simulation sparring rounds until Karl. We'd never done floor bag rounds, anything like that. We'd never seen any of that stuff, and this was all stuff he was coming up with, years and years ago, 15 years ago probably. His mark on UK MMA is in that way. Like, a lot of you'll speak to a few coaches who will tell you that they've learned a lot from what Karl was doing.
What I want to know, and I'm sure the viewers would be interested, a day in the life of Matt Inman. Can you kind of talk us through what an average day looks like for Matt Inman from SBG Manchester?
We wake up 6 a.m. Every day. I'm just trying to hit my sleep's my big goal this year, because I've never been bad with sleep, but I think I've been like been undersleeping a little bit, so I'm trying to make sure I hit bed at 10 and wake up at 6, so I'm getting the full 8 hours for recovery and all that kind of thing. So wake up, on with the food, get the breakfast in and that, and then I set off from mine. I drive into the gym, which takes about 45 minutes because I actually live a fair way out of Manchester now. I drive into the gym, and then I just have from kind of 8 a.m. pad sessions with fighters, bring guys in, work some pads with them. We have a 10 a.m. fight team session where guys will train in the bubbles. The pros will get a little bit of work in with their allocated training partner. So that goes till about 12, and then I drive home. Fortunate now, I've got a weights room in my house, so with gyms being closed, I can still hit my strength work in the afternoon. Walk the dog. That's about it. It's lockdown life, man. Lockdown life.
Well, you've got a good routine. The dog's sick of
getting walked.
It's still exercise, brother, but you've got a good routine. So you try to sleep at a certain time, get up early, get everything sorted out, and then you've got the late afternoon and early evening to just kind of recover, right?
Yeah, I think just trying to hit routine's a big thing with me. I think it's always been a big part of my life, and just trying to optimize what I'm doing from day to day. And if I know what I need to do in a day, like right now, I have on Sunday morning, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to plan my full week out as much as I can. So I know I know in blocks what I should be doing at what time. I'll have some free time set aside if I need to do things for the gym or whatever, or if anything unexpected pops up. And then, just especially I think like the thing that hit me hardest in the first lockdown was it was just a few weeks of bang, everything stopped, and it just been like go, and then it was like bang, and then like all of a sudden, like I was like, this is, what do I do now? Do I just sit around all day and watch Netflix? And I did like probably about 10 days of Netflix marathons where I was walking the dog, doing some exercise, but I just didn't have any motivation to do anything. I'd never felt like that in my life before. So I think like the second lockdown, I was lucky because I was already training for a fight camp. So I was kind of motivated there. And I was thinking to myself, which one did I get more out of? The one where I had a routine, where I was doing something every day. And, I was going through a fight camp. So you know what fight camp's like. Like I knew I had to be here at this time and this time and this time. And then the first time it was like, oh, nothing's going on. I'm just sat around watching Narcos on Netflix. I watched the full thing in like 3 days. I'd never done that in my life before. I was like, it's crazy. And then, so the third lockdown this time, I thought, well, there is no fight, but I'm going to treat it like I'm doing a fight camp. I'm going to I'm fortunate that I can still train with the guys, and it would be a different situation if I couldn't do that, which I know a lot of people can't because we don't have the elite athlete exemption and all that kind of stuff.
So, Matt, you're on this MMA conveyor belt, and you've been fortunate enough to compete at a high level, and you're coaching at a high level. Those who are further down on the conveyor belt behind you, from your experience and knowledge, what would you like to share with those up-and-coming athletes?
My advice for athletes, up-and-coming athletes, is probably this is specifically for people who want to fight MMA, who have goals of professional career, big organizations, UFC, whatever. It wouldn't be the same for guys who were just training for recreation or because they wanted to know how to defend themselves and that kind of thing, or just get fit. So I would say consistency. This is the number one thing, and it's the number one thing I have with my guys, and you need to be consistent. So as soon as training starts up again, or if training's going for you at the minute, then get into your routine, hit those sessions. You're not going to feel like you want to do it every day. I think this big thing at the minute, people not feeling motivated. Motivation is not what you need. You you need a routine, because you're not always going to be motivated. Like I'm saying with the guys at the minute in our gym right now, a lot of them are not going to be fighting by the looks of it anytime soon, because there's no shows coming on. They've not fought for a bit. If you're waiting for a fight or something, or preparation for a fight to motivate you, then you could be waiting a long time. You just need to be consistent. You need to be turning up in those sessions and working on your skills. So consistency. And then outside of that, and I think this is something I learned probably more recently, is you just got to enjoy it. Listen, like if it's going to be your job, if you're going to make it your job, enjoy it. Like there's no point coming in every day and it feeling horrible and it feeling grindy and this and that. You know, it'll be that way sometimes anyway, but don't make it that way for yourself. You know, don't have that mindset where you're like, and I see this a lot, particularly with young guys, are like, oh, I've got all these injuries, I'm carrying these injuries, and I'm having to cut weight, and I can't do this and I can't do that. And it's well, on the other hand, think about what you like right now. You're training full time. You're getting to do presumably something you love every day. You know, so enjoy it, like, and enjoy the training, get in. And for me, like, I want to see guys not just in training because they want to fight, or there's a fight coming up, right? I need to get in shape, I need to get sharp or whatever. I want to see that you're enjoying the process, you're enjoying your training, and you're enjoying the martial arts. You know, like you're trying to make yourself the best version of yourself. And the only way you can do that is really by loving what you do. So enjoy it. So be consistent and make sure you enjoy it.
Matt, thank you so much for sharing this time with us and sharing your knowledge with us over this podcast. And I really look forward to having you on the next one, my friend.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Safe.